Hello everyone and welcome to this live English lesson with me, Anna English, on English Like a Native. Today we are going to do the most disgusting English lesson that we've ever done before. I'm not very well. You might be able to hear I have this very husky, slightly sexy voice. It's because I have a cold and a cough. And so I'm terribly sorry if my voice isn't as tuneful as it normally is, and if I'm not as energetic as I normally am. I'm going to try my very best to give you the lesson in the same way that I normally do, with lots of energy and smiles. So if you are here, well done for being brave enough to venture into this disgusting lesson. What exactly are we doing though? Well, I wanted to discuss with you things that we find disgusting and how we articulate and communicate our feelings about things that revolt us. So firstly, I would very much like to hear, what is the one thing that you find absolutely disgusting? What makes you feel unwell because you find it so disgusting? Is it an animal? Is it a smell? Is it a type of food? Is it a taste? What makes you feel disgusted? And while you are writing that down, I'm going to say a very quick hello to everybody. Ella, hello. Ella straight away has dropped a super chat. Bless you, thank you. Super chats are like tips to the community and tips to the channel. They help the channel to grow. Ella, you're very sweet. You say get well soon. Lovely, Anna. Thank you very much. I'm taking lots of paracetamols and drinking lots of orange juice and coffee. So hopefully a few days and I will be back to my full healthy self. Thank you, darling. Hello everyone from all over the world who's joining me. You're all very busy talking away in the chat room. I can see that. Thank you for being here. And hello to my lovely patrons. Lots of messages of get well. Thank you very much. Alexia has come straight in and says the thing that makes you feel really ill and really disgusted is blood. Blood is quite a big one. Lots of people feel unwell when they see blood. Some people are saying cockroaches. You don't like insects, particularly cockroaches. The sound of someone eating makes you feel disgusted. Oh, interesting. So yes, when people eat with a lot of noise, makes you feel quite unwell. I agree with you, actually. I agree with you on that one. A couple of you saying roaches, cockroaches. Interesting. Okay, so let's jump straight into the lesson and let's get started with different words that we use to describe disgust. How else can we say it's disgusting without just using the word disgusting? Well, one of the big words that we use over here, it's very common here and it's also common in American English as well, I'm just pouring my coffee by the way, is the word gross. Gross. And just so you can see the pronunciation of this, gross. Oh, gross. It's gross. Ugh, that's gross. You can tell someone to not be gross. Don't be gross. That's disgusting. Don't be gross. Okay, so something can be gross, or someone can be gross. You can just say, it's gross. Yuck. Some people would say, it's grossing me out. It's a very weird sentence, but people say it regularly. Oh, it really grossed me out in the past. Yesterday, I saw someone eating, I don't know, something disgusting, and it really grossed me out. It grossed me out. Or I could say to you, please stop doing that. It's grossing me out. I don't like it. It's grossing me out. And it's just written here for you, so you can see how it's written, okay? Okay, so we obviously have the word disgusting. We all know that, hopefully. We can also use some of these other words, which I love. Revolting. Revolting. To revolt someone. Oh, it makes them sit back. It's revolting. Normally you would describe food as being revolting, or someone's behaviour could be revolting. But I would normally imagine revolting being used when we're discussing something that you'd put in your mouth. It's revolting, it's disgusting, like something that you would taste. Revolting. We could use the word sickening. Sickening can be used for all sorts of different scenarios. So you could say that news is sickening. You could say that a person's behaviour is sickening. We can use it for food as well, but normally it would be used for behaviour or someone's conduct. It's sickening. It's sickening. Julia, bless you. Thank you so much. Julia has also dropped a super chat contribution to this community. Thank you, Julia. And you said, thanks for your lessons. That's very sweet. Thank you for your support. Okay, so we can also use the word odious. Odious. There's a big diphthong at the beginning. Odious. Now, odious makes me think of odour, which is a smell. You can have a pleasant odour or an unpleasant odour. But usually, when we talk about odour, we think about an unpleasant smell. So if you say someone is odious, it's like it doesn't mean that they're smelly, it just means that they're unpleasant. It's an odious person. It makes you crinkle up your nose and go, ooh, ooh, as if they did smell. But it doesn't always necessarily mean that they smell. They're just odious. If someone is a horrible person, they are an odious person. Okay? Those of you just joining, yes, I'm unwell. I'm sure you can hear it. I'm not very well myself, but stick with me. Okay. So we have the word foul. Foul. Obviously, foul is used in lots of different circumstances. If you play football and you kick another player or push another player, that is a foul. But also, you can talk about if you take a dog for a walk and the dog poos on the floor, as a dog does. The dog poos because the dog needs to go to the toilet. The dog poos, we would call that dog foul. The dog is fouling. So you'll see in the parks in the UK a sign saying no dog fouling or no fouling on the grass. And it means don't allow your dog to poo on the grass. So foul can be a bad thing in football, bad behaviour. Foul can mean poo when we're talking about dogs and animals. But you can also say that something is foul. It's unpleasant. That was a foul thing to do. Or she's a foul woman. It just means unpleasant. Okay? So, foul. It almost sounds like it has a W in it, but it doesn't. Foul, foul, foul. You could say that something is off-putting. It's off-putting. Normally, I would tell someone to stop doing something because it is off-putting. Off-putting directly relates to something that puts you off. I'm actually going to write that on the notes. Equals it puts me off. It puts me off. Ooh, typo. Please do tell me if you spot a typo or a spelling mistake. It's important that you tell me so that I can correct it while everyone can see, okay? So, it puts me off means if I'm eating my dinner and I see something I find disgusting, like a dog pooing, it might make me not want to eat my food anymore. I might go, oh, I don't feel like eating my food anymore because watching the dog poo put me off. It put me off. So to be put off means you just don't want to do it anymore. Another example of off-putting, if I'm trying to do a live broadcast and somebody walks into the room, Bernard walks into the room and says, Anna, can I speak to you? And I might have to say to him, Bernard, please stop talking to me while I'm trying to broadcast. It's very off-putting. Oh, sorry. bye. Okay? So it's very off-putting if someone is doing something that's distracting you from what you are trying to do. It's off-putting. It puts me off. Okay? All right, so I'm going to have a quick sip of my coffee. I'm on coffee today and not tea because coffee helps to keep me awake when I feel drowsy because I have a cold. All right, so another one we could use, another great word, is repulsive. Oh, this is a good word. Repulsive. It's repulsive. You are a repulsive person. That was a repulsive thing to say. It repulses me. To repulse. Like a pulse, you push them away. It makes you go, ugh, I'm repulsed. So repulsive. Repulsive. Great descriptive word. You could also say that something is distasteful. Distasteful. I would tend to use distasteful not to talk about food, as you would imagine, but actually to talk about behaviour. So if somebody wears fancy dress to a funeral, that could be deemed as distasteful. Some of the things that perhaps a leader would say could be distasteful. For example, Donald Trump has said some distasteful things during his campaigns before he became president. He said some very distasteful things about how he behaves towards women. So distasteful is used when talking about behaviour more often than food, okay? It's very distasteful. You could say something is unsavoury. Again, I would use this with behaviour. It's unsavoury. You could say something is repelling. It repels you. It makes you step away. Repelling. You could say something is horrid or horrendous. Horrid or horrendous. This is another good word, and it really does describe being disgusted. If something is rancid, I find it rancid. Rancid, I think, literally means rotten. So when something rots, I think when meat rots, it becomes rancid. So rotten and rancid are really good descriptive words. Okay? We also, at the moment, it's quite common to use the word nasty. She's a nasty person. That's a nasty thing to say. It looks nasty. In some cases, I know people use nasty to mean something nice. Oh, that's nasty. But I think that's probably what the young, very young kids are saying, not the adults. We still say nasty, meaning unpleasant. Okay? Repugnant is another word that's just come up from Jefferson. Repugnant, great word. I'm actually going to add that onto the list. Repugnant. What a great word. Repugnant. Repugnant. If anybody ever described me as repugnant, I would be horrified. It is such a great word, but it has such weight. Repugnant. Really good word. I love words. Okay, so another good word here is the word vile. Vile. It's a very, very strong word. She was vile. It was vile. Their behaviour was vile. Another word come through from Amal. A great word, abhorrent. Okay, so we've got some great words here. Now, this one is a little bit slangy, so I'm just going to say this is slang. Oh, no, slang. There we go. Yuck, yucky. And this is more what a young child would say. They go, yuck, yuck. I don't like it. I don't like the taste of it. Yuck. And so they might describe a food as yucky. It was yucky. It was yucky. Okay? All right, I'm going to take a few questions now before I move further on. Can you use the word devastating? Devastating is a verb that means to devastate. That could be used in all sorts of different ways. I wouldn't think that that would be used to mean something's disgusting. Okay? It could be devastating means that you're terribly upset about something, but it wouldn't mean you're disgusted. Okay, minging. Great word. Minging is very much a northern English word. It's not really used in the south of England, but I will add it to the list. I wonder if it's got an E in it. Minging. Can someone just check the spelling of minging? Because I'm not sure how it's supposed to be spelled. So can someone just check it for me? But that is very much a slang word, meaning disgusting, and it's synonymous with the north of England. North of England. But yes, I'm from the north of England, so for me that's a very common word. That's minging. Okay, so one of my patrons saying, my patrons, thinking about the fact that I'm eating a dead corpse when I eat meat makes me feel sick. Interesting, Ella. So Ella feels unwell when she eats meat if she thinks about it being flesh, like a dead thing. Does that mean you're a vegetarian, Ella, or do you just try to not think about what you're eating when you eat meat? Okay, so minging is spelt M-I-N-G-I-N-G. Minging. Wonderful. Thank you for checking that. Now, sometimes you'll hear people saying the phrases, it's not for the faint-hearted, or sorry, for the light-hearted. There's two different ways of putting it. Oh, no, put that there. For the faint-hearted or for the light-hearted. It's not for the faint-hearted, it's not for the light-hearted. It literally just means if you find things disgusting easily, if you are easily disgusted, then don't watch it. If you're brave, if things don't disgust you easily, then you are not faint-hearted and you are not light-hearted. So not for the faint-hearted, not for the light-hearted, just means anyone who just likes things to be nice shouldn't watch this or shouldn't be involved. Okay? You can also say, look away now. Oh, I'm going to give you an injection. Look away now. If you don't like injections, look away. My doctor, when I give blood or have injections, will always say, I'm going to do the injection now. You might want to look away. So that's if you are a doctor or you're involved in that kind of thing, that is something you can say. Look away now. This is not for the faint-hearted. Okay, so what kind of things actually do we find disgusting? What things make us feel disgusted or repulsed? What do we find repugnant? Well, the first thing I'm going to talk about is bad smells. Bad smells make us feel ill. If you have anything you want to add to this list, then please do put the comments down in the comments box and I will add them in. So what bad smells make you feel ill? So I know a lot of people struggle with the smell of poo. So particularly, for example, picking up dog poo. So like when you're out walking your dog and you have to pick up the dog poo. Pick up dog poo. Picking up dog poo. It will usually make people sick. I used to walk dogs for a living. For 2 months or so, I walked dogs as a job, and I used to find it very hard to pick up poo all day while I was walking the dogs. Eventually, I got used to it. It wasn't too bad, but initially, I found the smell sometimes was so strong it would gross me out and make me feel quite sick. Yes, Everlong is saying cow poo. The word shit is a bad word, a swear word, so just be aware of that if you didn't already know. I do have some younger viewers here, so I will refrain from using that word. But poo is the more family-friendly word. So cow poo, yes, cow poo can smell quite bad. What else do we find is a horrible smell? Let's see, what have we got on the list? We have the smell of urine, so the smell of wee. The smell of wee. Sometimes it can be quite strong and it can make us feel unwell. And equally, like the smell of poo, if a person farts, sometimes it can be so bad that it makes us feel ill. Okay, so farts can be a horrible smell to deal with. Rotten food. This is one that I have trouble with. Rotten food, particularly chicken. So I'm a vegetarian, of course, but I live with a meat eater, and sometimes when the chicken in the fridge has gone off, so rotten food, or let's say gone off food. Oh, we use the phrase gone off regularly. It just means rotten if it's gone off. Or it's out of date food. But when chicken has gone off, it has such a strong smell. And when I'm trying to work out what smells bad in the fridge, if I put my nose close to the meat and smell the rotten chicken, it makes me want to throw up instantly. It makes me retch. This is a word I'm going to come to later. It makes me retch. Or heave is another word, but we'll come to that. So, a good one has just come through that I hadn't thought of. Bad breath. Bad breath can be, breath like that. Bad breath can be really horrible. Or if someone has awful burps. Sometimes, just the sound of someone burping or belching. How do you spell it? Belch? Belch? No, like that. Belching. A burp or a belch can be horrid, and sometimes they smell very badly. Okay, so we also would call bad breath, going back to this one. I don't know how to spell this. Halitosis? Halitosis. There we go. Halitosis. Thank you. Autocorrect. Halitosis is the medical term for bad breath. Halitosis. Halitosis. Okay, so if someone has halitosis, they have very smelly breath. And it can be really horrid, can't it? It can make you feel disgusted when someone's talking to you and they've got really bad smelling breath. Or they have halitosis. So yes, burping and belching can be horrible. Rotten or gone off food. Fish, sometimes people find fish quite bad. I know that when I go sometimes very early in the morning to the fish market, I mean, I haven't done that for a very long time, but there's a famous fish market in London that I've been to a few times, 4, 5 in the morning, and the smell of all the fish around you at 5 o'clock in the morning can make you feel quite disgusted. So fish. Does anyone here work on a fish market? If so, how do you deal with the smell of fish? It can be horrid. And also some people suffer when it comes to the smell of feet. So some people have very smelly feet, and it's not very nice when you have to deal with somebody else's smelly feet. They take off their shoes and you're like, whoa, what is that smell? That stinks. So to have stinky feet or smelly feet. So if something does smell, you can also say that it is stinky. Bad smells or stinks. No, let's not put that there. Let's say stinky. A descriptive word for something smelly. So smelly or stinky. There we go. Stinky, a descriptive word for something smelly. Those of you who've dropped me super chats, Ella and Julia, of course you will receive these notes if you want them. So those of you who drop super chats, do feel free to send me an email asking for the notes and I will send them to you as a thank you for contributing. Okay, so moving on from bad smells, I don't think any others have come through. Any others? Sulfur dioxide, that's the technical term for what? Remind me. I can't remember exactly. Cheese, the smell of cheese. Yes, actually, the smell of cheese can be, in some cases, horrid, can't it? It can be a bit too strong. So some people might find the smell of cheese a bit too much. Some people are saying things like melting plastic, That's quite an unusual. Ammonia, yes, ammonia. Yes, that's sometimes when fish goes off, it smells like ammonia. Okay. Cigarettes. The smell of cigarettes. Yes, I find that quite horrible as well. Cigarette. How do I spell cigarette? Cigarette. Smoke. Or ashtrays. Ashtrays are worse, I think. Ashtrays smell horrid. But of course, everyone finds different things disgusting. Some people don't mind. Some people really do. Okay, let's move on. So some people find smell disgusting. Other people have problems with touching certain things. So the things I've listed here are slimy things. Slimy things. And that's sly, I, diphthong, slimy, slimy. When something has that kind of smoothness, that wet smoothness, it's slimy. So a fish is slimy. An eyeball can feel slimy. And I know some people struggle when they wear contact lenses. If they have to take the contact lens out of their eye and they touch their eye, some people find that disgusting. I don't mind it. I've used contact lenses before when I've done my acting work. It doesn't bother me, but some people find it really tough. Some people don't like touching reptiles, like touching snakes or touching fish even, anything that's slightly slimy. So, yes, and I've also written eating unusual things. Some people struggle watching other people eating unusual things. Like, there was a program called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, where they would put people in the jungle and they would make them eat things like bugs and worms and like kangaroo testicles or something crazy. And if you watch other people eating something disgusting, it might make you feel physically sick. Okay? Anne-Marie is asking, what does ashtray mean? An ashtray is where smokers flick their cigarette ash. It's where they have their cigarette ash. So that's the ashtray. Some people are saying wet dogs. The smell of wet dogs. Yes, that can be disgusting. Some people have problems touching raw meat. Yeah, so these are the horrible things. Now, the one thing that most people will find disgusting is something to do with the body. So we've talked briefly about odour. We did say odour that comes from the mouth, but we're now going to talk about body odour. The general smelly smell that comes from our armpits or that comes from us sweating too much. Okay, so body odour, often shortened to BO. BO, so I'll say, do I have BO? Do I smell of BO? Like, do I smell of BO? We often use that, I can't think. We often shorten it to BO and use that commonly. You could also say, I've got sweaty pits. Shortening armpits to pits. I've got sweaty pits. Or just generally say, I smell quite sweaty, or he smells quite sweaty, or someone has terrible body odour. I've had to work on a couple of occasions with people who had problems with body odour. Of course, body odour is something we all have. We just have to control it, and some people are better at controlling their body odour than others. So, Ella thinks this is a very funny lesson. Thank you, Ella. These things need talking about, because otherwise, how do you know what to say? Alrighty. Well, 217 of you watching, that's good. Abbreviation is the word I was looking for. Yes, thank you very much. My brain isn't working properly. BO is a common abbreviation for body odour. So, BO, BO. Have you ever worked with someone who has BO, and did it disgust you, or did you not mind? Also, and this is something I struggle with personally, spitting. things to do with saliva actually make me feel quite repulsed. So to spit. Now, when you spit, you can just spit saliva. Obviously, young people, children, or adults even when they sleep perhaps, but mostly young people dribble. Young or very old people. To dribble is when saliva, the wetness in your mouth is saliva, and dribble is when the saliva comes down your face. Blah, 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 blah. Like that. Babies dribble because they have no teeth and they don't know any better, and so they wear a bib, and the bib catches the dribble, and you're always wiping the dribble from the baby's mouth. Old people, very old people, dribble sometimes. Adults dribble sometimes when they sleep. Yes, I have to admit, it's true. You're learning something new about me. I sometimes dribble when I sleep. I wake up with a little pool of dribble, or a little pool of drool, we sometimes call it. Dribble or drool. Let me just write that on for you. So, I'm sure I'm not alone. Please don't let me be alone. Someone else tell me that they dribble when they sleep too. So I'm not the only one feeling embarrassed by myself. But spit in general, spit when you kind of, that makes me feel ill. When someone does a big bit of spit, and normally when it's phlegmy, so I've written phlegm here, but actually it should be like this. Phlegm, that's it. It's a funny spelling. Phlegm. It sounds like this, but it's spelt like this. Phlegm. And that's when it's thick and mucousy. So I'm poorly right now. I'm ill, so I have a lot of phlegm. So when I cough, you can hear the phlegm. And if I was to spit, that would be phlegm, and it's horrible. Oh, bless. Okay, so I've just had Dodecadius, Rosa and Andreas say thanks, the best from Germany, and they've dropped a €2 super chat. Thank you so much. That's very, very sweet of you. Thank you. So going back to phlegm, when you spit phlegm, normally you will cough it up. Cough it up. So if you're ill, this is a good lesson. If you're ill and you go to the doctor and you say, I'm coughing, they will say, are you coughing anything up? Is there any phlegm when you cough? What colour is the phlegm you are coughing up? So a good phrasal verb, to cough it up. Cough it up. So you cough up phlegm and you spit it. Now, a slang term for people who cough up spit, like do a that kind of noise, that's called to hock it up. To hock it up. Loudly coughing up, or a loudly cough up and throat clear. That's not a good sentence, is it? Loudly cough up and clear your throat before spitting. So so like I just did there, that kind of sound, that's to hock it up and spit. Yuck. Okay, so let's move on. Sometimes when you eat, a little bit of saliva, dribble, stays on the food, and you pull the food away and the saliva is still attached. Do you know what I mean? It's like a string of saliva. And sometimes people find that disgusting. And there's this string of saliva still attached to the food. I've written it here for you, a string of saliva. Another thing that people find repulsive is when other people spit when they're talking. So some people are very articulate, and when they speak, they spit their words. And sometimes you'll be listening to them and a little bit of spit will go from their mouth into your face or into your food, or sometimes in your mouth or in your eye, and it's horrible. And you're just like, oh, you just spat on me when you were talking to me. And some people are really grossed out by that. Obviously, it's quite disgusting. I'm glad to see that a lot of you are joining me in saying that you also dribble when you sleep. Yay! I'm so pleased I'm not alone. Okay, yes, Sky has quite rightly said phlegm is a type of mucus. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, phlegm is also known as mucus. That might help. Okay, so let's move on to another thing that I find absolutely disgusting, and I'm sure many of you also do. And that is this thing. Pus. Pus. Now, pus is the white, nasty, kind of creamy liquid that comes about when you've had an infection. So when you're infected, your body works hard to clear the infection and creates pus. That's the outcome of fighting infection. And so pus will normally be on a sore or a spot. So if you have a big spot on your face and it goes white, it's called, if it has a white head, if you've got white heads, it's gone white, it's full of pus, and you squeeze it and it goes like that. Oh, it's horrible. So that's called pus. The stuff that comes out is pus. And sometimes you can have pus in your mouth if you have an infected gum. You can have it in a cut if the cut gets infected, and then you have pus coming out. It's just white, horrible liquid. Okay? So, pus. Now, pus makes me feel quite ill. Some terms that we would use: that action that I just did, when you have a spot, not sneezing, but squeezing, easing, there we go. Squeezing spots. Also could be called popping pimples. So you either squeeze your spot or you pop your spot. A spot is a pimple. A spot or a pimple. It's basically a blocked pore in the face or in the skin, and it becomes infected. A pimple is less common. Spots in English, British English, more common. Spots. So we squeeze them or we pop them. Normally someone would say, don't pop your spots, don't squeeze your spots, stop squeezing. But unfortunately, I have to say, if I have a spot that's gone white, there's a big piece of pus in the top of my spot, I have to squeeze it. I cannot come onto the YouTube channel with a big blob of pus on my face. So I will always squeeze my spots if they've gone white. This is disgusting, isn't it? I'm so sorry. But we're all human. We all have the same problems. So, blackheads is the other thing you might have. A blackhead is a blocked pore, but the blockage is just black. There's no whiteness there. It's kind of thick and compacted. And so you normally get blackheads like here around the nose, normally where the pores are bigger. So blackheads are the black ones, and they don't normally get infected, but sometimes they do. Whiteheads are ones full of pus. Ooh. Okay. And I think people find these things disgusting. But in general, if you see something that's infected, maybe it just looks red and sore, and maybe it's weeping a clear liquid. To weep is to cry when liquid comes out. To weep. So if a cut is weeping and it's red and it looks sore, then you might find that just generally disgusting. Infections, disgusting. Okay, so lots of you are enjoying this. Lots of you are finding it disgusting. I'm glad that you are here with me. Some of you are leaving me. Oh no, goodbye if you're leaving me. But I hope that those of you who are staying are finding this useful. And if you are finding this useful and you're new here, please. And now it's working. I froze for a moment, but it's back. Good. So please, if you're new here, press the subscribe button and the bell notification button. so that you don't miss any future lessons, okay? And if you are here and you're finding this useful, obviously this is quite embarrassing for me, so please do show your appreciation by giving this video a thumb. I'm going to check how many thumbs up we already have for this disgusting lesson. 143! People love disgusting things. Great. Good. Happy. Amazing. Right, let's carry on. So, besides pus, another thing that absolutely turns my stomach is snot. Snot or bogies. That's not how you spell bogey. That's how you spell boogie. Bogey is spelled like that, I think. Bogey. Bogey, bogey, bogey. That bogey is what a child will call it, or sometimes snot. But basically, bogies and snot is the mucus that comes out of your nose. A bogey! Oh, and I really hate if you see a child who has a runny nose. A runny nose is when the snot is just running down. If you see a child with snot all down their face and they're going, and it sucks back up, oh, it makes me feel so ill. And so, yes, that's what I find absolutely gross and disgusting. Snot or bogies. Now, some people pick their nose. Picking your nose is the phrase for when someone sticks their finger up their nose and picks. That's picking your nose. So you would tell a child, stop picking your nose. And sometimes children also eat their bogies. So to pick your nose and eat it. To pick your nose and eat it. It's disgusting. Although I have to say, while I was researching today to find how to spell bogey, because I'm still not sure that that's spelled correctly, the word bogey, I don't know how to spell it. It's such a weird word. So I was looking how to spell bogey, and there's an article came out a few months ago that says apparently, particularly for children, while you're developing, picking your nose and eating your own bogies is good for you. Picking your nose and eating it is good for you. What? I read 2 articles. I couldn't believe it. So apparently you should not tell your child to stop picking and eating their nose. Like, picking their nose and eating it. Because apparently it's good for their immune system. So, right. We're going to carry on from picking the nose. But yes, it's supposed to be good for you. So maybe, yeah, mind blown. Mine too. Okay, so passing wind. Let's move on to farting. Now, you'll see here I've used the word trumping. If you didn't see the lesson on bodily functions, then you would have missed the fact that the word trump, like Donald Trump, means fart in British English. So when we heard that Donald Trump was made president of the United States of America, we thought it was pretty funny because for us, a trump is a fart. So when you pass wind, oh, excuse me, that is trumping. So there you go, that's what trump means to us Brits. Sometimes people find trumping, passing wind or farting, however you want to call it, some people find it quite disgusting, particularly if you're trying to eat or if it smells bad, or like if you're standing quite close to someone and there's not much fresh air and someone does an awful trump, then you're like, oh, that's disgusting, that's repulsive. And other ways to describe a trump, you could say I've just let one go. So, oh, sorry guys, sorry, I just let one go. Or a trump that no one hears but everybody smells because it's really bad, you would refer to it as silent but deadly. It's silent but deadly. So yes, nobody hears it but everybody smells it. It's silent but deadly. And you could also say, I'm sorry, I've just dropped one. Like you've dropped a bomb. Sorry guys, I've just dropped one. It stinks. Okay, time to move on. Other things that some people find disgusting are gore. Gore refers to anything that's kind of like, it's basically blood and guts. It's all the same thing. If something is full of gore, like cuts and people being stabbed and maybe zombies eating flesh, then you would say it's full of gore, or you'd say it's gory. Do you spell like EY? Gory? No, maybe like this, gory, like that. Gory. Something is gory. It's full of blood and guts, and as we saw from my patron chat room, lots of people find blood quite horrid and quite difficult to deal with. Let's have a look at you patrons, what you're saying. Sulfur is also terrible to smell. Yes, it smells like rotten eggs. What a funny lesson. I sometimes dribble too. Thank you, Alexia. One day, someone who was sitting next to me sneezed. Oh no! And I felt drops on my arm. Oh, that's disgusting. I can't imagine anything worse than someone sneezing and it... Ugh, someone sneezing snot on me. That is like the worst thing. I would probably be sick or something. Yuck. Horrid. Okay, so another few things for blood and guts. Gouged his eye out. So when you gouge something, when you cut into it and you kind of cut it out, so you might gouge someone's eye out. So if I'm waving something pokey around, like a knife, I'm waving a knife around in the kitchen and I accidentally stick it in my face and I turn it and pull out my eye, I've just gouged my eye out. So to gouge an eye out. It's a good word, gouge. Or sometimes you might cut something off. You can fill in the blank, he cut his arm off, he cut his leg off, he cut his toe off. These kind of things some people find disgusting. Vomit. Some people find vomit disgusting. I must admit, if I see someone being sick, it makes me feel quite sick too. I'm not very good at dealing with sick. Sick is obviously vomit. It can also be referred to as puke. Some people call it blowing chunks. Blowing chunks, I guess because the stuff that comes out is chunky and you go, it looks like you're blowing, and out comes the chunks. It's not a phrase I like. Normally, most commonly, I use the phrase throw up. Did you throw up? And in the past tense, threw up. He threw up. They threw up. I hope you don't throw up tomorrow. Okay, so you might use the phrases when talking about sick. You were sick as a dog. Sick as a dog. I don't know why we use dog. Dogs aren't sick any more than any other animal, but we say sick as a dog. If you have been vomiting a lot, I'm sick as a dog. You could projectile vomit. Projectile vomit. Written here. Projectile vomited. I projectile vomited. This means when sick kind of comes out like rah, like that, like a projectile missile. Bleh. I haven't projectile vomited ever, actually. But maybe once when I was a teenager and I got food poisoning and I didn't expect it and it just happened. I was in my wardrobe getting some clothes out and I went and I vomited into my wardrobe. How horrendous. All my clothes were covered in vomit. Anyway, projectile vomiting. Now, when you are doing the motion of being sick but you don't actually have anything come out, when nothing comes out but you're just doing this is called retching. Retching. It's written here for you. Retching. Some people call it heaving. Heaving. So retching or heaving. Some people do that when they see something disgusting. They'll retch or they'll heave or they'll smell something. I can't believe I'm teaching this. Yes, so retching or heaving. Horrid. Okay, so remember it's projectile vomiting, not project vomiting. We never shorten it like that. We always say projectile. Projectile. Some people will stick their fingers down their throat Perhaps if you feel like you want to be sick but you can't be sick, someone might say to you, look, try sticking your fingers down your throat. Or they might tell you, stop sticking your fingers down your throat, you'll be sick. Yeah? So, to stick your fingers down your throat. Okay, so other things that make people heave, we've talked about briefly before, but feces or poo, also known as a turd. Now, some people are disgusted when they go to the toilet and they see skid marks, or if they see skid marks perhaps in a pair of pants. Skid marks is a run of poo. If you took a turd, and you rubbed it against something, you would leave a skid mark. So it's a skid of poo, and normally it's left in the bottom of the toilet when you go for a poo. Afterward, there is a skid mark left in the toilet. And you should clean it. If you leave a skid mark, you should clean it with a toilet brush, but some people don't. And some people who see skid marks find it quite disgusting. Or they might be disgusted when they go to the toilet and find a floater. A floater is a poo that is floating in the toilet, waiting to say hello when you go to the bathroom. So a floater is how we refer to it. Yes, a lot of you are saying, OMG, OMG, OMG. Yes, it's just one of those lessons. It's just one of those disgusting OMG lessons. Other things that make people feel sick, hair in food. Yeah, of course. If you find a piece of hair in your food, it's quite disgusting, right? You don't know where it came from, especially if it looks like a pubic hair. A pubic hair is hair that comes from the pubic area, so your naughty bits, pubic hair. Some people are disgusted by feet. So I know some people, if they look at bare feet, they don't like it. They find it disgusting. Other people find sex quite disgusting, or public displays of affection. So if you see people snogging is like intense kissing, like that. You know, when two people are like, kiss, 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 snog, 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 snog. You're like, oh, guys, please do it in your own room, in your own space. I don't want to see it. So some people are disgusted by PDAs, public displays of affection. Okay? And some people are disgusted by sex, by perhaps the thought of their parents having sex. What? Yeah, it's disgusting, right? You think about your parents having sex or your grandparents, it's disgusting. So some people find that quite revolting. To see, God forbid, to see, to hear, to know of, or to even just entertain the idea of their parents or their grandparents or someone like that having sex makes them feel disgusted. Okay? So, time to move on very, very quickly. Some people are disgusted by creepy crawlies or reptiles. So creepy crawlies are things like bugs and spiders. Reptiles would include snakes and lizards. Some people just find it horrid. And finally, I do have to finish very quickly because I have a lesson in 10 minutes, a private lesson. But the way these things make us feel... Oh, sorry, just knocked the mic there. I hope it didn't scare anyone. Squeamish is a great word. If it makes you feel squeamish, normally it would be squeamish. You would be squeamish if it was something gory, blood and guts. Maybe if you watch someone having a needle put in them or someone having an operation and being cut open, you might be like, oh, I can't watch it. I feel squeamish. So it's just if you just don't like it, it makes you feel funny when you see something gory. You are squeamish. So you can say to someone, I'm quite squeamish. I don't want to watch this procedure. I'm squeamish. So if you don't like the sight of blood, guts or gore, you're squeamish. Squeamish. Great word. You might also faint or feel faint, like you're about to faint. You might feel lightheaded if you see something disgusting. Normally, I guess, blood could make people feel faint. Oh, lightheaded. Boom. And you faint. Okay, to lose consciousness is to faint. Sometimes these things can make us feel sick, which is also nauseous or unwell. But you could say, and this is a great term, it turns my stomach. It turns my stomach. Okay? This means it makes you feel sick. Oh, watching those bears kissing, it turns my stomach. It just makes me feel sick. I don't like watching bears getting it on. So it turns your stomach. Okay? Or stomach churning. It's stomach churning. You could say it makes me feel funny. It just made me feel funny. But not funny, ha. Funny like, oh, it made me feel funny in my tummy. I don't like it. It made me feel funny. I have to sit down. It might also make you lose your appetite. So you might have a loss of appetite. Some people who are eating their dinner and watching television, if they see a medical program and something horrid happens, like someone falls over and breaks their leg and their leg is flapping around, or they cut themselves open. Excuse me. Sorry. If they cut themselves open, they might lose their appetite. To lose your appetite means you no longer feel hungry or able to eat. So you'd say, oh, I'm sorry, I've just lost my appetite. So you lose your appetite. Oh, bless. Leandro has just sent a super chat. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. I've got such a tickle in my throat now. Nearly there. Okay. I've got 8 minutes before my lesson. I must hurry. Okay, so loss of appetite, a good one to remember. So some things you might ask somebody before subjecting them to something disgusting is you might say, are you brave enough? Are you brave enough? Can you stomach it? Can you stomach it? That means, will you feel sick or not? You know, can you stomach it? Do you have a strong stomach for gore and blood and guts? You might just say, can you stand it? If you can't stand it, this is a phrase we use, it means that you just don't like it. I can't watch it. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Stop making that horrible noise. Some people find the noise of nails on a chalkboard quite disgusting. Is that you? Do you find the sound of nails down a chalkboard quite disgusting? It doesn't bother me, but some people, it really makes them feel sick. Okay, so I'm feeling awful, but I have had fun. I hope that you have found this helpful. If you have, please, I beg you, please make sure you've pressed that subscribe button. Give the video a thumb up. And if you know anyone who would find this channel, this lesson helpful, then please do share it. We are so close now to 50,000 subscribers, and I'm really keen to do a celebration Q&A video when we hit 50,000 subscribers. And I'm hoping it's going to be today or tomorrow. It's probably going to be tomorrow now, because I still need to find 500 subscribers to get there. But if you know anyone who would find this helpful, then please do send them our way. And let's make this community much bigger and therefore much better, because more heads as part of the community all help. Thank you so much to my patrons. I'm going to give you a quick visit now. Hello, patrons. What are you saying? Anna is explaining what skid marks and floaters are. I can't stop laughing. Thank you, Ella. I'm glad you found that helpful and entertaining. We almost hit 2,200 likes. Brilliant. Thank you so much for giving me a thumb up. It really does help to get this video out and shared when you get involved. So I'm going to have to love you and leave you guys. I have got a lesson to prepare for in a few minutes time. Thank you so much for joining me. If you do want to do anything for this channel, then you could potentially think about becoming a patron. Lots of rewards for patrons. The link for patrons is in the description box below, so you can go and check out what's on offer for patrons. If you can't afford to contribute to the channel, then that's absolutely fine. I want everything to be free for as many of you as possible. It's just that patrons get a little extra love, that's all. But if you have time that you can give, then perhaps you would consider doing some translations for me, because I'd like my videos to be in your language. I've got lots of videos, some very short, some very long, some somewhere in the middle. If you could translate a title, a description, or even do subtitles, that would be amazing. The link for translations is also in the description box below, or you simply visit a video that you want to translate, click more, and there you'll see the option to translate that video. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm hoping I'm going to feel better in the next couple of days. Now tomorrow I am at YouTube filming all day. Now the signal there hasn't always been strong enough to do a continuous live stream, so I'm nervous about going live tomorrow. I might go live on Facebook just to say a quick hello. So if you're not already following me on Facebook or Instagram, then make sure you are. The links for those are in the description box below. But I won't be live on YouTube tomorrow because I don't want to have a broken feed. So I will do a lesson on Wednesday for you guys, probably in the afternoon, but I do hope you will join me. I will announce exactly what it's going to be about on Facebook and Instagram, so another good reason to join me there. All right, guys. Someone asking me about astrology. What star sign am I? I'm a Libra. Is what I am. I am balanced. I'm Libran. All right, guys. Lots of love. I do have to go. Take care. Love from London. Love from Bernard and Benjamin. Take care. Lots of love.